going on, guys? Luke here. So I'm wearing a poncho today because why not? Ponchos are great, and I got it in, I don't know, Old Town San Diego, and it just felt right today. Talk about today is, if you watched the video last week of me cold calling, I spoke with this gentleman and I really only had one solid lead when I was calling, but that solid lead from last week has already turned into a deal, which is pretty amazing. So I guess what I want to talk about today is how I know I preach very often about how long-term follow-up is the play for if you're looking to get deals regularly, right? But that doesn't mean that you cannot get deals on a very quick basis. I know I said, in the past that usually they don't come that way, but again, I made this call last week when I was cold calling just during our video. And like I said, 1 week later, we already have it under contract, and I'm going to break down the numbers for you for how fast you can make that much money in a quick time frame. So I'm not sure if you watched the full video from last week, but in that video, the gentleman that I was speaking with about his property, he had actually let me know that he had tenants in place until May, or maybe it was June, May or June, and that he just said, maybe we just revisit this once my tenants are, closer to being out. So I kind of tried to stay a little bit persistent though. So rather than just giving up and saying like, yeah, sounds good, I'll give you a call in 3 to 4 months, I kind of, pushed on a little bit. And basically what ended up happening from that was that he ended up, I had asked if we could get an appointment set. I was like, well, I'd still love to get the chance to take a look at it. And so what we were able to do from that was he gave me a call back and he said, hey, I was able to set up a showing for you. So again, this is just something I wanted to tell you about. Just pushing a little bit past that point of where they're comfortable. It doesn't take a lot to do it, but again, it got me an appointment. And once we got the appointment, it gets your foot in the door. And then after I went on the appointment, that was when we got the deal. So unfortunately, I wanted to have his follow-up call on camera as well, but he called me when I was driving, and so it's one of those things where I always try to get these videos on camera so I can kind of show you guys the transaction and show you exactly how it goes when it comes to the follow-up phone calls. But again, he gave me a call. Long story short was he was like, okay, did you kind of get the chance to think about it? Where are you at? And if you recall from that video, I had thrown out 210 to 220, but I also said that if we get this at 220, we are going to kill it. It's going to be a great deal. So that's like a no-brainer price. So I went and saw the property. I'll show you the pictures. It was extremely clean. It was everything that he had said. It had dual pane windows. It had a new AC unit. It had a garage. It had a new roof. But the big kicker that I was not ready for, I think he'd mentioned it, but like sometimes you just don't really know. He truly does have solar panels that are fully owned. So in the past, solar panels that are leased have tended to hurt us. Whenever we try to sell a property, I guess like solar panel contracts are just really hard to pass off. They have like stipulations in them where you have to hold on to them for, whatever, 15 years or 20 years, or you have to fully pay them off. And so a lot of times they can be a negative for people. But these ones are fully owned. And when they are fully owned, that is a huge positive. A lot of times, to buy solar panels outright, they can be anywhere from, $20,000 to $50,000. So that is a huge bonus for us that we weren't even expecting. So this makes this a completely no-brainer deal. As I mentioned, extremely clean property with solar panels. And so when I spoke with him, he had mentioned on the phone that he was looking, for somewhere in the ballpark of about 235. And so again, this is something that I just want to share with you. You want to try to get any type of an edge that you can possibly get on a seller, right? Not in a negative way, but just something that you can use to your advantage there. So I hopped on, and I like to go onto, like, let's just say Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin. I like to go onto all of those websites and just kind of see what the estimates come back at. And so I got lucky, and Realtor.com's estimate came back at $237,000. So when that estimate came back at $237,000, I was able to use that to my advantage. He wanted $235,000, the estimate was $237,000. So I came back and I said, hey, listen, the estimate on your property is $237,000. I know you want $235,000. You know, it makes sense. I get why you want that. And I was like, listen, with me, you know, you're not gonna have to pay realtor fees, closing costs, all that kind of stuff, right? And he's like, well, it sounds like, you know, it sounds like if I go with your offer at the lower offer, I basically will be paying that, which it's smart when people say that because it is kind of true. We're coming in at the lower price. And so realistically, they are in a sense paying it, you know, in a weird way. And so I was like, so listen, so 235 is your number though. 235 is that's like your no-brainer. You're absolutely gonna move forward at that. And he's like, yes. Came in at 235 and he went for it and accepted it. So again, I know that you would think 235 might not make sense, and especially since, you know, the realtor.com's estimate was only 235. But again, this is where it comes in handy, knowing the markets that you're in and knowing your areas. So I know that I'm going to be able to come into this property, possibly put at the most $5,000 into it. We're probably just going to paint the cabinets, new countertops, and probably a little bit of tile on the flooring for the kitchen area and then just for the bathroom. So it's an extremely, extremely clean property. But so we'll be all into this property somewhere in the ballpark of about 240. But because of the area that it's in, because of what it is, and because of the solar panels, we should be able to get somewhere in the ballpark of about 300,000 on this property. So let me go ahead and hop on the computer and break down these numbers for you. All right, so we've hopped over to the screen here. And as I mentioned, this property, you know, with what we're gonna do to it, should be in the ballpark of about 300,000. Again, there's a chance that we could get up to 320,000 in this market right now. But again, we always try to run our numbers as safe as possible. So repairs, like I said, we're gonna put about 5,000 into it. Closing cost to buy is gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of about 4,000. Closing cost to sell is gonna be the 2.5 that we're currently paying for a buyer agent and 1% for our closing agent that we pay for, the selling agent. Holding costs, we're probably gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of, it's gonna be a very, very quick flip. So we're gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of about 4,000. So again, we're buying this at 235,000. Whoops, what am I doing? 235,000, so that leaves us, right there. Makes us 41.5. So, like I said, a very quick deal like that. 1 week in is gonna pull in about 41,500 for a estimate for the profit on that property there. So again, guys, we're talking about literally making a phone call 7 days ago and within a matter of 7 days, going on the appointment, getting the property under contract, and then when we do this flip on it, we're gonna make $41,500 on it. That is why wholesaling is truly fantastic. So guys, keep in mind, on this property, he wanted to do an appraisal. He wanted to get an appraisal done, but the big thing that that I did on this, again, was the price anchor. When I hit him with the 235, that was like money for him. That was like money in the bank. It was exactly the number he was looking for. But the price anchor came on that, my original offer of the it was actually 180 to 220. So he said I'd be more inclined to be closer to the 220, but then he said, I want to get an appraisal done though to make sure, you know, that my property is worth what I think it's worth. So again, when I came back and hit him at the 235 from what the realtor.com estimate was, it made him, you know, absolutely think right off the bat, well then, you know what, 235 has got to be what my house is worth, and it's still $15,000 higher than what his highest offer originally was. So that is exactly why you need to be coming in low. You know, I know it's not always fun, you know, coming in at 60, 70% of value on these properties, but it's what's going to give you a good payday. When you come in at like 85% or 90% because you don't want to be yelled at on the phone, that's not going to get you paid. So keep that in mind. Always price anchor at a low number right off the bat. All right, guys, well, there is another deal breakdown. So if you want more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe below. As we've mentioned before, your likes and your comments, they definitely help us out in the old YouTube algorithm. So feel free to like away, you know, let us know if you've got any comments, if you got any questions, any videos that you want us to do. If you like these like deal breakdowns, I can do a ton of them. I can do more of them a couple weeks back as well. So get ready for that one. That one will be coming next for you. But again, thanks for watching, and until next time. If I start seeing all of you guys wearing ponchos now, I know that I'm the trendsetter. Like, come on, these things are pretty great. They're super comfortable. They're great when you're in cold weather. They're great if you're in hot weather. They're really just multi-purpose, so just keep it in mind. We'll see ya.